Greeting Israel, Judah. It's your brother DFG here. Hey, my brothers and sisters. I just want to take some time this day and share some things that Abba Yah has put upon your brother's heart to share with all of his chosen, the elect of Israel, as we call, as Abba Yah identified ourselves. You know, right now there's a lot going on, and we all know that. You know, we are fighting battles to the left, fighting battles to the right, fighting battles from the north. You know, if you're in New York, Philadelphia, you definitely know what I'm talking about. But Abba Yah has put up on my heart to just remind my brothers and sisters that all of these things that we're dealing with, there's a timeline to all these things. Everything is according to the time of our Abba Yah. You know, the Creator, warned us throughout his book. You know, we call it a cipher, right? But there's in this Tanakh, inside of his Torah, inside of the hidden books, the Apocryphal books, you know, it's a constant reminder to all of us, brothers and sisters, that there's an appointed time for each and every one of us, and there's an appointed time for this earth. And I want to remind again, you know, at the risk of sounding repetitive, you know, the reminder is so that we do not forget, that we do not allow ourselves to become frustrated because of all of the weapons that are formed against us, to put a stop to us. You know, the small group that we have that attend the Bible studies, for an example. You know, even within that group, you know, there are times that, you know, the enemy will come in, and sometimes intentionally, other times unintentionally, you know, to disrupt. You know, and sometimes we look at these things, or even when that happens inside the group, there's a certain level of frustration. And through that frustration, we began to question, you know, well, where did that come from? Why is that here? And more importantly, who sent it? And more times than not, of course, if you're doing what's right by Abba Yah, you can believe that who sent it is going to be someone of the seed of the fallen, someone associated with them in some way. Maybe it's going to be a witch. Maybe it's going to be a wizard, a soothsayer, a seer. Soothsayer, a seer. You know, when our book talks about seer, there are those who are prophets and watchmen and messengers of Abba Yah who only talk about his Torah. They only talk about his Torah. So those seers, if you want to use the word seer, will just be, you know, another word for prophet or messenger or a reminder, more importantly. Tell my people, watchmen, say unto my people, if thou, you. But never ever does Abba Yah watchmen and women who are appointed or assigned to bring forth, you know, support to Abba Yah's word, to Abba Yah's messengers. Never will he ever put into their mouths or into their hearts anything that would exist outside of the Torah. And inside of that, I just say to my brothers and sisters, we have to be very, very careful, because the enemy is going to come in like a flood now. You don't think those demons know that their time is short? You don't think those demons are reading the signs of the times? Of course they're reading the signs of the time. They always have read the signs of the time. They know that the time is near. And what are they going to do, brothers and sisters? They're going to do everything in their power to cause our brothers and sisters to fall back. The attack has been Israel from the beginning of time. And I'll say this again. The attack has been against the chosen of Elohim, Yahuwah, since the beginning of time. Adam was attacked by who? Surely not by Yahuwah. The Creator did not attack Adam. Gadriel attacked Adam. One of the demons. One of the dragons, as they're identified as. That's who attacked him. And that's who's going to continue to attack if they have never stopped. All to what? Destroy the promise. to ensure that the promise is not fulfilled. There were things that happened on this earth long before man came here, brothers and sisters. We know nothing about it. But that darkness that encompassed the earth that you read about in the very beginning of the story of man, or creation as we understand it, where man came into creation. There was darkness, chaos upon the earth. Something happened here. There are a lot of unexplained mysteries on this earth that is far beyond the understanding of any man. The demons know, but no man will know. And for the few that have a little inkling, I can assure you they got that knowledge from the fallen. The fallen means the demons who are locked up until the times of the end. Under the earth is where they were placed. And now those demons have been released. And now they're gathering their armies from all over the earth to fight against Abba Yah's army, the remnant of Israel, the 1/3. And I've said it to my brothers and sisters many, many times. You know, we're at war and we don't even know it. We're at war. The enemy has been working for centuries, millenniums now, trying to figure out what is it going to take to destroy the promise of Yahuwah. We are his promise, meaning the chosen. And if we want to be honest with ourselves, if you look at the behavior of Israel all over this flat earth, we'd have to acknowledge that they have been reasonably successful. Our older men, our older women are so distracted and detached, from what is the truth, that is criminal before Abba Yahuwah. It's criminal. Their behavior is criminal. And then the young amongst us are so hostile towards Abba Yah. Again, their behavior is criminal. Matter of fact, I'll use a word that Abba Yah used to describe the other day. Our behavior here, as far as Judah is concerned, is treacherous. Treacherous. Can you imagine? Think about it for a second, brothers and sisters, in reflection. If someone was to walk up to you and say, I accuse you, yes, you, I accuse you for a behavior that is treacherous. And that's what Abba Yah is saying about Judah. Judah's behavior is treacherous. Judah has turned its back on Yahuwah. 2/3. And Judah now has found a way to line itself up with the enemies of its own people. And I'm not going to put all this on, the heathens who are not, Israel. Judah has taken upon itself to become wicked. Judah has taken upon itself to deny the power of Abba Yah, their creator. Judah has more or less decided that Judah is going to make itself Elohim. Religion is not being forced on Judah anymore. And we need to accept that fact. Our people are voluntarily over there now. They're proudly over there, I might add. Their chests are poked out. Their necks are stretched out. They're very proud to be treacherous. And there are many ways to be treacherous, brothers and sisters. You can steal, you can kill, you can murder. You can abuse your bodies. But there's no greater treachery than to hate your creator. There's no greater treachery to fake like you love him, but in your heart you despise him. You live the life that you want to live. You don't live the life that Abba Yah prescribed for us to live, his Torah. You live the life you want to live. That's treachery. And Judah and Israel is full of treachery. Because when Judah and Israel have took upon themselves to not only mimic the ways of the heathens, the non-Israelites, Judah, Israel had taken upon themselves to lead now the agenda of the heathens. And therefore, Abba Yah has no choice now than to allow the heathens outside of Israel to do their works against Israel. And so all of this technology, all of this food shortages, all of this resource issues that they're having today, imports, food, goods, medicine, etc. The pandemics. And every pandemic is not just, some disease, brothers and sisters. There's other pandemics out here. Drugs pandemics. Fentanyl pandemic. Opioid pandemics. Prescription drugs pandemic, and none. Drinking, spirits, putting things inside of their bodies that cause them to have hallucinations. A lot of our people are walking around now like zombies. That's a pandemic. That's what a pandemic looks like. And all the zombies are just for you, my brothers and sisters, because I think some of our people, we have a way of self-denying. We want to look at others and we'll say, well, surely it's not me. I'm not walking around here on the streets half naked stinking. I'm not sitting here in the street sleeping on the ground. Surely it's not me. But if I can be totally transparent, that's low-level thinking of you. A zombie means another word of a soulless one. They have no soul. They're guided by instinct. Now, how many people fit that description that's not homeless? How many people who fit that description who doesn't live in the streets? There's zombies on your jobs. There's zombies, sleeping next to you in the beds, some of you. There's zombies that some of you work for. There's some of you who are zombies and don't even know you're zombies. Because you found a way to make it right for yourself. After all, who can tell me how to serve Abba Yah Yahuwah? Who are you to tell me that if I'm in any church or any religion, that somehow or another you're right and I'm wrong? Reprobated minds. Hard hearts towards Abba Yah's truth. Reprobated. And if you don't know what reprobated is, my brothers and sisters, it simply means that the truth will be staring you in the face and you still won't understand what it is you're looking at. Someone can bring the truth to you on a platter and say, here's food. Eat. You're starving. And you'll say, no, I want food. I'm starving. That's how reprobate treat Abba Yah's truth. I know what I'm doing. I know how I feel. I know what I believe. And when the truth is laid right there in front of them that lines up what they believe, they say, I don't want that. Where did that come from? Reprobated. The conversations that are not being had are the conversations we need to have, brothers and sisters of Israel. And we shouldn't be afraid to have these conversations. The more we run away from these conversations, the more we encourage the flood of the enemy to rise and rise and to rise. Sticking our heads in the sand and pretending that this evil around us is not the evil around us, it says that we have no true understanding of the danger that we're in. Abba Yah has put upon our hearts for years to warn his people about preparing and prepping. Gather your resources together. Gather your people together. And what has Israel done? For the most part, shake their fist at Abba Yah and say, oh, I don't believe all that. It don't take all of that. It don't take that. I'm good. I have my altars that I pray to in my churches or in my home. Doesn't matter. Brothers and sisters, let me say this thing about this altar situation, has become a real, true problem, and a problem that, I have to be honest with you. I didn't see the bigness of it. I did not see the bigness of this. I know about idolatry. We were warned not to pray to statues and stones and things that were made with the hands of men in the earth, above the earth, right? In the image of birds and beasts, fish. We were warned not to do that. We were told that those behaviors went against Abba Yah. They were idolatrous behaviors. But so many of us, we were brought up before altars and through religion. After all, if you're in a church, your pastor's probably standing up on the altar when he's talking to you. Your choir is probably up on the altar as they're singing to you. You probably were encouraged to come before the altar so they could lay hands on you. So how could we not think altars were appropriate? And yet those same altars that they were doing inside those churches were the equivalent of the altars of Baal. Mullah, where they were offering up, bodies, sacrifices to their gods to ensure that their gods brought forth to them their desires. Just like today. And as I was studying, because it's been a burden on me, because I don't want to get it wrong. And I know if I trust Abba Yah and I stay before Abba Yah day and night, I won't get it wrong. Same thing applies to you. But see, when our people try to go about doing it their own way, they get it wrong every single time, but yet they think they're right, and therefore we're back at reprobated minds. I know, y'all don't know. God forbid, we had someone just the other day tell us that there were two Elohims, a female one and a male one. Someone, quite frankly, if I wanted to be truly transparent, I would have told you that this is someone who I thought was very sincere in their heart towards the people of Elohim and Yahuwah. And it was probably the same, the individuals would probably fight me to this very moment and tell me that I'm wrong. That somehow or another there's a female Elohim out there. Yet I could take them all through this book and show that Abba Yah Elohim is one Elohim. One. And they will not look at that. They will just reject that. Oh, no, can't be. Who told them that? I read it in the book. No, you didn't. You didn't understand what you were reading. You did not read that. Reading is fundamental, but understanding it creates wisdom. And wisdom is not a God. Wisdom is just information. It's knowledge. It's really the power of the rock over you. That's when David was talking about when he repented against the wickedness that he had performed against Uriah. He said, take not your Ruach from me. The world calls it Holy Spirit. That's what wisdom is. That's what wisdom looks like. Understanding. Knowing how to divide what is evil versus what is good. This earth lacks wisdom. Surely if wisdom was a God or entity or Elohim within itself, surely wouldn't have all this wickedness going on out here. No way. Because they would know better. You think our people would eat poison foods if they had wisdom? You think our people would celebrate the heathen holidays if they had wisdom? You think our people would sacrifice their baby because the baby will cause an inconvenience for them if they had wisdom? You think our people would sleep with the same sex if they had wisdom, knowing all the diseases associated with that they don't talk about anymore? Herpes, STDs, AIDS, HIV, etc. You think if our people had wisdom, they would do celebration like they were doing in New Orleans just past, really yesterday, where they were riding around with a bicycle naked parade, with literally people riding around on their bicycles in a major city, starch naked. Men and women, most of them heathens, non-melanated ones. And you would have to ask yourself the question, if wisdom was as an Elohim to themselves, surely they would know that. What about the children? Is it right for a 5-year-old girl to see a grown man riding around naked? What did our book teach about nakedness? Aren't we told in the law that we're not supposed to look upon nakedness of another? Except it's a part of the covenant? That we're not supposed to look at the nakedness of our fathers, our mothers, our aunties and our uncles, our daughters? Does the book not say that? Does the Torah tell us different? If wisdom was a God, brothers and sisters, surely we would obey the laws of the Torah. Our Yah would not have a wisdom God that was superior to him, except he be not Elohim. And he sure would have competing Elohims with himself. See, the heathen has a God that they worship. All of the heathen's gods have elevated themselves to the level of Abba Yah. Satan tried to do that, or Lucifer, or the morning star. You can read about Satan, Lucifer, in the book of Revelation if you care to go over there. Personally, too many lies over there for me. There's a little truth sprinkled in there, but it's way too many. That's put in play to cause us to become idolaters. You don't think the writers of the book knew what they were writing when they planted that as a part of their New Testament replacement theology? You think somehow or another half the book is full of falsehoods and the final part of their book is not? Of course it is. But again, except you be a reprobate, you won't understand. Except you be not a reprobate, you won't understand this. You'll think that I'm off on some rant. When in truth, my voice is a voice of reason for Israel. It's a voice of reasoning for myself. Abba Yah's messages have to live by the same, ethics that those they bring forth the truth to. You think Moshe could have told the people not to worship, things or idols made with the hands of men, or Elohims made with the hands of men, and then he turned around and did it and would not have been judged for it? No, there's a higher standard for those who bring forth the truth, not a lesser standard. There is no you would call pass. They get a pass. We don't get a pass. Too much is given. Much is required, as the book says. Moses made one big error, his biggest error. Abba Yah told him to speak to something, and he hid it. And that in itself caused him not to inherit the promise that he had led people towards for 40 years. Put his life on the line before Pharaoh, the kings. The king of Cushites, the first Pharaoh, the last one. So no, there is no pass for you just because you're a teacher or you're a watchman. If you really wanted to be transparent about that, most of those who have put themselves in positions, those who have placed themselves in position, they are going to be destroyed. That's burning strange fires in the house of Abba Yah Elohim, Yahuwah, Allah. They are going to be destroyed. You ordained yourself, or your church ordained you, you are on your way to hell. If you're a part of any type of organization that you went through a ceremony to get authorization to talk to Israel, to Abba Yah's sheep, you are going to burn. Abba Yah calls his men. Abba Yah calls his watchmen. Abba Yah calls his prophets. And he directs them and he guides them. And he validates them by what they say coming to pass. Otherwise, they're not his. And brothers and sisters, see, if our hearts were right towards the truth, we would not be so easily misled by false teachers and false prophets, witches and sorcerers. Because we would just go to them and say, tell me what Abba Yah has said to you for us. Or better said, not that. You have to be careful with that. I'll take that back. You could use that. But better said, when they start talking, start listening. And see what they're prophesying. What I mean by see, stand back and watch and see if their prophecy comes to pass. Because in the Torah, it says that if a prophet brings forth the truth, it says that Abba Yah told him, if a prophet says that Abba Yah told him or her to say something, our book says, if it does not come to pass, count him as a lying prophet and do not listen to them. Do you know that Baal has prophets? The fallen ones have prophets? Messengers? Do you know that they're mixed all amongst Israel? They come knocking on your doors in the form of, I'm a Jehovah's Witness, or I'm a Seventh-day Adventist. I'm a Protestant, or I'm a Catholic, or I'm a Buddhist. No, the true religion for Africa is Islam. Brother, you are black and we're black, and you need Islam. Come out of the heathen's bondage. You had to go right into the other heathen's bondage. Come out of the non-melanated bondage right into the heathen bondage. And except you be a reprobate, you will not understand this. Or you will be taken over by it. We have a Torah, we have a guidebook, brothers and sisters, a map that shows us the way, the only way to redemption. The only way. It points out clearly who is the Redeemer of Israel. And yet, think about it. Our people, maybe some of you, are still struggling with what you can read for yourself. I can flip over here real fast. Just like this. Not even a minute. And read to you clearly who your Redeemer is. Isaiah 43. What does he say here? Isaiah 43. But now says Yahuwah that created you, our creator, the creator of man, Israel, not all two-legged, beasts are men. They're beasts here, just like there's a chimpanzee and a gorilla, and they may be of the same, what you would call class maybe, but they're not the same. They don't eat the same, they don't think the same way, they don't behave the same way. Matter of fact, one eats the other. In case you didn't know that. Gorillas eat chimpanzees or monkeys. They eat them. But we were told they're all primates, they're all the same. Well, I'm sure if you ask a monkey, he will tell you a little bit, no, I don't think so. This joker eats people, eats monkeys. There are two-legged beasts among us who eat us. And I know we don't want to deal with that. So again, you can hide your head in the sand and pretend like it's not true. But when you feel that sting, that pain, that violence that is coming upon you, you'll have regrets. But look what it says here. But again, Isaiah 43. But now this says Yahuwah, that created you, O Jacob, Israel, and he that formed you. Fear not, I have redeemed you. I have redeemed you, says Yahuwah. And yet our people will still fight, said, no, 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 no. No, he lied. He lied. It's Jesus. It's Yahushua. Or they'll tell a bigger lie. Well, Jesus is Yahuwah. They're one and the same. 3 dimensions of one Elohim. All 3 is one. The Trinity doctrine, by another word. Elohim in 3 persons. And our people guggled it up because, you know what, these heathens are clever. You know, you could be a father, you could be a son, and what's the third one? You could be a father, you could be a son, and you can be a brother. See? But it's still you. How clever. How clever. But see, if we wasn't treating wisdom like an Elohim and using wisdom as an understanding, increasing your knowledge, you will see the folly in that. That has nothing to do with creation at all. Abba Yah Rahuk has nothing to do with creation. Abba Yah didn't need a son to create what he had the power to do on his own. But yet our people have sold out because it sounds good. Words like David says, smooth words. We love those smooth words. Tell me what I want to hear. Just tell me, there's a female God. Tell me, there are multiple gods. Tell me that God loves everybody. Then that way I'll feel like I'm somebody. If nothing is important, then you're not important. If nothing has, special value, then nothing has any value. If everything was good, well, then where all this evil comes from? I can assure you it goes beyond just one's imagination. But if you choose to believe that, you'll find out the hard way. Because it's going to come knocking at your door. It's coming to your house. Even your house is in the streets. In other words, it's coming where you are. And you had better be prepared to identify when it comes, or you will be overtaken by it. Because it's not coming as a friendly bedfellow. They understand it's a war. They understand that this battle is for their survival. And they will align themselves, as their history shows, with all the other idolaters out here, all the other seeds of similitudes of men against the one true man, one man. Were we not warned that they were confederate against Israel? And what was their confederacy all about? What was this council all about? What was the council about? What was the confederation about? The United Nations about? Translateral Commission about? What was it all about? Their foreign relations committees, what was that all about? What is artificial intelligence all about? Open AI all about? Again, the Council of Foreign Relations, the meetings they have yearly. World Economic Forum. What is that about? The advancement of who? And when they get to this advanced state, what do you think they're going to do to you? Israel, I'm talking to you now. If Psalms 83 is correct, it's to eliminate you. Us. And except I believe Abba Yah's word, I would believe that's not true. Which of course would make me a reprobate. By any description of what reprobate is. Meaning that you would hear the truth, but you wouldn't receive the truth because you'd rather believe a lie. Because a lie is more palatable. I don't have to fear. I don't have to worry. I don't have to have anxiety. I can go forward with my plans to conquer the world, to be all I can be, to live my best life now. We talked about this before. Living my best life now. Give you something to take a look at. You've seen this before. If you follow this channel, you've seen this. Interesting. Does that look like evil to you? But you're being encouraged to live your life. Be a God unto yourself. Because that's what religion teaches. Religion teaches empowerment. The Torah teaches obedience. Brother Adrian, capture that. We're at war. And it's really sad that we're losing this war because we don't understand it. Battle after battle. What do I mean by battle? All the hatred that has done to our people, all over all of these millenniums. Hatred, violence done to our people. Those were the battles. The prison industry complex. That's a battle. Redlining, denying our people access to, to loans. That's a battle. Poverty. I'm sorry, inner city poverty, to be more specific. A battle. Eating unhealthy foods, another battle. Breathing unhealthy air, another battle. Drinking water that's full of, quite frankly, human feces and urine and other things, dead things. Trusting the heathens through their purification, systems that they would never, ever, after all, they're drinking it. From what fountain? If they are drinking it, from what fountain? And one of the battles that were being that we were a part of, that went right through the so-called civil rights movements, they had their own fountains and said we couldn't drink out of their fountains. We had to drink out of the colored fountain. Are they drinking out of your fountains while you're simply saying there's no way they would conspire, to put poison in your water? Do they understand your DNA genetic makeup? And maybe they can drink the water that they have you drinking because the water that they have created doesn't harm them like it harms you. You know what I'm thinking here, right? There are other things that they have given you that told you it was good for you in the battle for you to overtake you, that they, were given as well to tell you it was safe. But then later on came to tell you you were being the one affected more than anybody else was being affected. But you didn't catch that. Because you were so busy trusting your enemies. Because you thought it was all about inclusivism. Love. They would never do that. Surely they couldn't do that. But yet, there's nothing about them, because you know a man about his history, that said they wouldn't do it. Because they've always done it. From the very beginning they were doing it. From the moment they came and laid with our women and punch beyond that, they set out with one intention: eliminating their competition. They fight amongst themselves for superiority, but they fight against us for elimination, extermination. But none of this was impossible for us to understand, because Abba Yah was merciful by giving us laws, statutes, and commandments for us to follow. So we would have an understanding of what the enemy's tactics would be like. An understanding that if we were obedient, that they would never be able to overtake us. Therefore, these battles that they are fighting with us, they would always lose. But we rejected that truth and still reject that truth. And now we're in a state of reprobation, and things are happening around us, happening to us, and most of our people, have no understanding of it. They think they know. This is not a problem. What are you talking about? It's your fault that if you would just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you could do well too. But what about all of these snares and all of these programs that were put in place over the last 100, if not 1,000 years to deny me the opportunity that others got? Does that matter? Because in their country, they weren't being discriminated in their lands. As a matter of fact, through your colonization and your enslavement, you put yourself in such a powerful position that their kind ran to the where you had colonized and enslaved, because they knew it would be better for them to come here or there, because you spared not the children here to ensure the children there could eat, their children, to ensure that they could reign supreme, that they would have the excellency. And just told us, if you just work hard, you just keep believing in, Jesus, who now has become, Yahushua, since some of our, well-informed, knowledge-bound brothers and sisters have said now Yahushua, which they think that means something different. That's kind of funny in itself. You took his face, you took this. I don't want to use any people, my ancestors, because I have some ancestors around me, and I don't want to use that face. But they took this face, took all the melanation out of this face, and then said this face is not this face anymore, and nothing about this human here is nothing about this human is this human anymore, because we gave him some kind of alopecia or something. So I guess Michael Jackson comes to mind. So he was no longer Michael Jackson because his skin went from brown or melanated to non-melanated. So therefore, it's no longer Michael Jackson. Now, that's ludicrous. That is silliness. That would be to think ridiculous. But because of reprobation, guess what, brothers and sisters? That's exactly what our people believe. When they went from Jesus to Yahushua. When they took their religion toys, their Christianity toys, and said, I'm not playing with y'all no more. We're going over to a camp. We're going to have our own little community. And we're going to play with our toys over here. What toys? The Christian toys. We're going to keep all of the concepts, all of the precepts, everything. And profess that they know Yahuwah. And then they put their witches and their wizards among us to seduce many of our people, 2/3 to be exact, to believe don't dare come out of that. Stay with us. Stay with us. See, we're different now. We're different now. We're not in religion anymore. We're not a Christian anymore. Okay, well, who's your Savior? You mean my Messiah? Yeah, who's your Messiah, your Savior, your Messiah, your anointed one, your Redeemer, who died for your sin? Who is that? Well, that's Yahushua. Well, who was the one when you were in the church? Well, that's not Yahushua over there? Well, you know, kind of, sort of, but it's not. It's, you know, it's complicated. Just take my word for it. And that's what all people are doing. Still doing to this very day, taking their word for it. I mean, we have given so much evidence and proof that all of that is a lie. And show it to me again. I wouldn't waste my time. You go find out for yourself. If you think I'm wrong, then you go do your research. I've done mine. I'm not here to prove to you that Yahuwah is Elohim. No way. I'm here to tell you that. I have his Torah to back it up. Now, if you want to discuss his Torah with me for validation, hey, we're here. The Torah, nothing but the Torah. Isn't that what you said, Sister, who was that? Sister Smith said the other day in her comments? The Torah, and nothing but the Torah. You damn right, sister. It's the Torah, and nothing but the Torah. Right, that brother? Right, Brother Adrian? All my other brothers and sisters, I can call all y'all out. Y'all know, we know each other. And we know who we are, and we know who we're not, and we know who's Abba Yah is, and we also beginning to learn who isn't of Abba Yah. Although they profess with their mouth, they're faking to be that way. But let us remind them, you might get away with it with us, but you're not getting away with it with Abba Yah Yahuwah. He sees you. He knows who you are. And guess what? Eventually you'll reveal yourself to us. That's one thing about you staying in the Torah. You'll see the enemy coming. Again, that's what Isaiah was saying. Though the enemy comes in like a flood, Abba Yah is going to reveal them to you. You'll see them. Now, when you see them, don't you play with them. Don't you hug it out. Don't you try to convert them. Separate yourself from them. Let Yahuwah deal with them. You're not smart enough to deal with them because they're being led by their gods. And their gods are treacherous. No morals, no ethics. They know where they're going. Their gods know where they're going, and their gods are going to do everything in their power to take every Israelite who is out of his or her mind by listening to them, thinking that they're listening to Yahuwah, right along with them. But by the mercy and the grace of the one sovereign Elohim, who says if you serve any other Elohim, if you have any interaction with any woman god, men god, gods that are made by men or women, idolatrous gods, falling entities, he said if you have any interaction with any of those, just so you know that it does matter. When they tell you it doesn't matter if you're a Christian or not, it doesn't matter as long as you believe. Whether or not, you know how they would say, well, just going to church don't make you a Christian. I agree with that. I remember there was an old saying, going to church doesn't make you a Christian no more than going to McDonald's made you a Big Mac. I always thought that was a clever little way of saying something that was really about nothing. But because going into churches is about absolutely nothing. Well, let me take that back. If idolatry and praying to altars before altars, it means something in the world of the damned. But it doesn't mean anything if you're seeking the truth. There's no truth in there. The Torah is the most powerful writings known to mankind because it's the writings that were given to man from Yahuwah. All other writings are just fake, substitute writings to distract you. occupy your time, maybe to make you feel smarter because you need to kind of spread the love because you have a desire to. Sleeping with your enemies does not make them your friends. Your enemy sleeping with you doesn't make them your friend. It just makes them the enemy that you're sleeping with, you're interacting with, you're worshiping with, playing with, celebrating with, riding around on bicycles naked with. If you know that you serve anybody, anything, any entity, spiritual, physical, any, that's a form of treachery. When you think Abba Yah is okay, you think that he sees that as a form of love, of innocence. I mean, clearly he states this. Book of Exodus, chapter 20. You know, and this is just getting to the point of, be honest with you, my brothers and sisters, and this is teaching, so I'm not preaching at you. If you don't want to hear this, then turn it off. What else can I say to you? I'm not preaching at you. It's time to put on your big boy pants and your big girl britches. Stop it. This is teaching. This is what teaching looks like. You've been to school? When they were teaching you things that you were trying to understand, was it easy or was it a little complicated until you caught on? Don't confuse, the strongness of a word, the directness of a teacher to be hostility. It isn't. It's to inform you, to alarm you, to redirect you if you're heading in the wrong. If you're failing, it is to give you enough information so that you pass, that you're able to achieve the intended outcome. That's what this is about. And our intended outcome is that we are redeemed of Elohim and we get to spend eternity with him in the new heaven and the new earth, free of wickedness and hatred and bitter and bigotry and debt and murder and debauchery. Those things that Abba Yah calls an abomination. But when he says treacherous, Judah has been treacherous. Why did he say that? Because Judah decided to turn every way but the one way. Or they tried to mix it up. They thought that they could do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And that somehow or another, mixing clean with unclean and holy with unholy, that somehow or another that Abba Yah would say, oh, okay, that's understanding. Okay, I get it. Everybody at different levels. That's a new lie they tell. Where's that in the Torah saying that we're at different levels? Deuteronomy chapter 6 said we're supposed to be teaching, not about no different levels. Placing the truth on doorpost. Walking by the bedroom and saying, hey, Yahuwah is Elohim to your children. When you walk amongst your brothers and sisters, you're looking at them and saying, hey, all praises and glory to the one sovereign Elohim, Yahuwah. No one else. Otherwise, according to him, it's treachery. And he said, if you're in treachery, this is what he says. Exodus chapter 20, verse 5. Do not pray. You shall not pray or serve. Let's go to 4. Let's go to 3. Exodus chapter 20, verse 3. Torah. The thing they say they believe in, but the very thing they don't do. When they tell you that they have another Redeemer, and they're telling you they believe in the Torah, they are liars. Or deceived. Either one of the two. They're either deceived or they're intentionally lying. And both it will lead to damnation to the hearer. If the hearer obeys them or agree with them or find themselves in agreement with that. Why do I say that? Because that's what Yahuwah said through his Torah. He says what? Exodus chapter 20, verse 3. You shall have no other Elohim before me. That means in his presence. No gateways, no gates, no platforms, no altars, nothing. It means absolutely Yahuwah, and nothing but Yahuwah. No angels, no seers, no sorcerers, no kings, no queens, nothing. No beads, no cross, no stars, no moons, half moons, no sheep, no lamb, no goat, nothing. All your sacrifices before Abba Yah is considered dung when you're not obeying him. You're not obeying his Torah. It's considered dung. If another word for dung, we would consider it as manure, feces. If you're in an Asian country, they would call it shit. He says you should have no other Elohim. That means zero, none before him. You shall not make unto you any graven image. An altar is an image. So you should not make any images or anything of the likeness of that is in the heavens above. Candles look like stars. Or that is in the earth beneath. That's anything that you would take from the ground to worship. Wood, stone, metals, gold, silver. You ever notice how some of these heathen teachers or pastors, when they try to boast about how good they have it, they'll show you their little gold coins and their little gold silver coins, and they're boasting about their wealth. This is what you need to have. This is real money. What can money buy you to save your soul? What money you know that you can use to save your soul? That's a better way to say that. You really think silver and gold can buy you a ticket into eternity to reign amongst the elect of Abba Yah Yahuwah? So for all of you people out here pushing gold, buy gold right now because the dollar is crashing, buy gold because gold is real currency, let me tell you something. All the gold in the world is not going to save your soul. You had better turn away from those things from the earth and turn your heart to the one sovereign Elohim. When this thing falls down and crashes, nobody's going to want your gold and your silver. They will want your food. They will want your water if it's clean. They will want the place where you're living to get them out of the cold or the heat. They'll want that. But they're not going to be interested in your gold and silver or your precious metals or anything else. And you better be able to defend those things that you have. And never forget they're flesh eaters. Was looking at something just the other day, and they were saying that this was a guy, a Navy SEAL, and these are men who have sabotaged other countries, their governments, toppled governments through treacherous behavior. This is a quote. They said, if the grid, what is the grid? The grid is the thing that powers up everything, the things that all of us are depending on, they have been taught to depend on for basics. Just to be able to flush your toilet. Just to be able to drink what we think is clean water if you're taking it out of the faucets. Just to be able to use your cell phone. Just to be able to listen to this message here. All of that's a part of a grid, a power grid. When you get in your car, if your car is made after 1980, if your model car that you're driving, if it was made after 1980, that means if your car is not 43 years old, Now, if your car is older than 43, you might have a chance of it cranking up. But if your car is 40 years old, if your car was built within the last 40 years, the grid determines on whether or not you can turn that car on or not. All of that goes down. That means everything that you're depending on, that's power to that grid, goes down. And you know what they said? And these are people who topple governments. These are people who undermine governments. These are people who live a life of treachery and wickedness and evil. Trained to be, to commit espionage. They say that mankind, 90% of mankind would be destroyed or they use the word unalive in 3 days. Not 3 months, not 3 weeks, 3 days. 90% of the population, 3 days. So for all your silver and gold and all your electricity and all these other things that you think that cause you to be sincere, but you're neglecting your soul, which is the only thing that can survive eternally. At least in a dispensation that you will be comfortable in, meaning not burning. That's being rejected or undermined, underserviced. Thinking that somehow or another your smartness, how much you know, your knowledge is going to get you where you want to be in a crisis. And most of our people, if you're in these Americas, you don't really know what crisis looks like. None of us know. Yeah, if you've been part of some of these major disasters, Katrina, for example, you probably have some idea how bad it could be after a day or two. But most of our people haven't gone through any real crisis. They have no idea how long it would take for so-called civilization to crash. They think it'll be at least weeks, man. No way. No, brothers. Hours, sisters, hours. And you're trusting in men or other Elohims, and that's why your money, your resources, that's why you don't understand the danger that you're in. Because they set so-called artificial intelligence, they set resources, they set, what we would consider money and how much money we have for safety. They set all that in play so you don't think about what would happen if something as simple as the power went out, all of it. The only power that would really survive in a power outage is the power within you, which we call the Ruach, because Abba Yah will be with you. And that's what it means that when the enemy comes in like a flood, Elohim would lift up a standard or barrier or a ring of fire or a gate for you. If you love him enough to hear his messengers, and then you love him, you love yourself enough to obey what you're hearing. And you have the wisdom, because you don't think it's a God, you have the wisdom to go and read and study for yourself to validate, to ensure that what you're being taught is written in the book with precepts that will clearly identify what is truth and what is not. I pray this message is landing on the right hearts out there, brothers and sisters. You could be, and I'm coming back to Exodus. I know, so we'll get to it, brother. I'm going to get to it. But I'm going to say what Yah tells me to say. I'm not preaching at you, I'm teaching. Do you have ears to hear? It's the question that you have to ask yourself. Are you listening? Because you truly care about yourself, your family, your soul, your inner man, the real you. Because see, if you're blowing this off or you're misinterpreting what I'm saying, then you're gonna pay a big price for that. If you keep on listening to all this stuff out there, they're telling you where security lies. But they won't tell you that you're going to have something in you. And you're going to have to be with like-minded people that have that same power of Abba Yah's love in them. If you want to be able to survive what is coming. And not have these ravaging dogs out here called men and women using you for supper and your children. It's written in our book. Go read Deuteronomy 28 and 54 and read what it says is going to happen. And there's many other places you can read that. I want to say is Ezekiel chapter 5 says the same thing, or Ezekiel chapter 6. Many places it says it. It's just not one part in our book, brothers and sisters, where he's talking about what's going to happen when the power goes out. And there are nations right here have the power to do just that. Well, we could do it to them too? Probably so. See, if men were really, really in charge, then you would probably have a line of reasoning and think, well, why would they do that? But what if men are not in control? Maybe what you think are men are not men. If you understood that this is a real war and stop counting little battles, you would understand that their job is to eliminate everything so that they can reign supreme. The gods, the children of the gods, the other Elohims that we're warned about right here in Exodus chapter 20. Because see, if your logic, because you want to have men's logic, because you profess to be wise but become fools, that the way that seemeth right to a man, Solomon said, but the end thereof is the ways of death. Proverbs, what, that 14 and I want to say 12? But here we're being warned. But if 3 days, everything is 90% is gone, what do you think is going to happen in 2 hours, 3 hours, hour number 7, hour number 20? If you've been listening to me in this first 1 hour, what do you think would have happened from the time you turned this message on to now? First of all, you wouldn't be able to listen to a message like this because you wouldn't have access to it. None of us would. We're not prepared for this battle. I'm talking about if you're living in your neighborhoods, living under your conveniences. I'm not saying you can't survive. I'm not saying we're going to survive. Abba Yah has promised that we will survive 1/3. So we'll survive. Because he's going to lead us. Because we've already shown that we can be led. Because we are in his Torah. We are obeying. We are already here. Saying, tell me what way to go, Abba Yah. I'll listen. Huh? Your watchman is going to cry loud? Okay, I'll listen to them. Huh? I'll know it because what they say will come to pass? Okay. Okay. But if we're that close to the end, why would you pretend that it's not happening? Why would you have your head stuck in the ground is what I'm saying to my brothers and sisters. That's what he's telling me to tell you. Why aren't you attentive? What is your distraction? What is that all about? Is it denying the truth? Is it your way of being able to justify that you didn't know? As though somehow or another ignorance of this law or Abba Yah's law is going to be justification for not obeying it? If that's what you're thinking, you're sadly mistaken. You're under an illusion. Or you're being disillusioned. Because you're serving other Elohims. Elohims created by men who were taught by the fallen ones to do just that. To cause you to fall, cause Israel to reject the truth. So in their council, in their confederation, we're eliminated and they buy more time to exist. But let us bring this to a close. Exodus, again, chapter 20. It says this, verse 5. And you shall not pray, that's what bow down means, yourself to them, nor serve them. Serving them means give them any attention whatsoever. Listen to anything that they're telling you to believe, trust, obey. We do nothing for them. Nothing to do with religion, nothing to do with anything that does not line itself up 100% with Abba Yah's Torah. That's what not to serve them means, just so you know. It means you shouldn't even be listening to them. I'm not talking about, you say, well, brother, you mean like, but we can't, how can we control what we, no, I mean talking about taking in your heart what they're saying. And if you're not strong enough to be able to discern the truth, then you shouldn't be doing that. If your kid was 5 years old and they were sitting around the power outlet, and they're taking and plugging in the outlet and pulling it out, plugging it in, pulling it out, and they ask you for a cup of water because they're thirsty, or mama, can I, daddy, can I have some water? Would you just set that water right next to them and say, here it is, honey, while they're sitting there playing with that electrical plug? Not ever considering that they may decide that, they might want to dip that plug in the water, or they might want to drink the water while they got their hand attached to that plug into that power outlet. I think we already know how that's going to end. So why would you be allowing that to happen to yourself if you know you're not strong enough? Why would you even be listening to any of that stuff is what it's saying. Because in your lack of understanding, you can very easily be deceived, is what he's sharing with us. Deception is more about the power of not knowing as much as it about, one being uneducated. Solomon reminded us, he said, knowledge without wisdom is what? Vain. It's useless. See, that wisdom comes back to understanding. Who gives that knowledge? Abba Yah gives that knowledge. How does he give it to us, brothers and sisters? Through his word, through his Torah. It's time to listen. It's time to stop. It's time to come out. In the last day, says Gabriel, knowledge will be increased. Men will be going to and fro. The wise would understand. But those who serve other Elohims, serving other gods, they won't understand. And according to the book, they will continue in unrighteousness, or better said, wickedness, and they won't understand. And therefore, all these things that are prophesied to come upon them is going to come and take them unawares. That doesn't have to be you. Doesn't have to be any of us. Even a stranger, it doesn't even have to be you. If you love Yahuwah, you love his people, you're willing to obey his laws, statutes, and commandments, it doesn't have to be you either. But if you're spending all your time working over there with your heathen brothers and sisters, and accusing us of fear-mongering or being bigots or racist or hate groups, then guess what? You will be destroyed. Right along with the rest of your kind. Again, verse 5. In the Torah, Exodus, you shall not bow down yourself or pray to them, nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah, I am jealous. Let me say that to you again, Israel. Yahuwah is jealous. Jealous about what? Jealous about you, about us. He's possessive. We belong to him. We're his. And he's not in the business of sharing what's his, no more than you are in the business of sharing your wife, if you got any sense. Your bride. It's metaphor. That is a metaphor. He says, I'm jealous, visiting iniquity upon the fathers, you men, and upon the children, you sons and daughters, until the third and fourth generation. That means your ancestors. That means those who are coming after you, your generations after you. Some of us are dealing with this because of generations before us. But by the grace of Abba Yah, he's awakening us. In these last days, he did say that some of us will be awakened to the truth. 1/3 to be exact. Of them that hate me. I did use the word hate. So all these people telling you that Abba Yah loved the whole world, and they quoting, stuff out of the writings of John, talking about, Abba Yah so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whoever believe in that son might have everlasting life. And right over here he's saying he does not share his throne with anyone. He does not serve a servant. He doesn't let anyone sit aside him. He's jealous. You know what that means? He's sovereign. Only him and only him. And I read to you already, he has a chosen people. Isaiah 43. That's you. And the stranger who can somehow or another get out of the maze that they were born into, the lies and the deception and the wickedness that they were born into, them. But Israel, again, it is time that we come out of this, for lack of a better word, fog. Like when it gets foggy, you can't see. It's time for us to come out of this fog and see the truth. To gird yourself up. To prepare yourself. Tune out all of the doubters. Let them doubt all they want to doubt. Let them unbelieve. Let them go on with their lives. Their new babies, their old babies, their new brides. Let them go on living. But when it falls down and shut, it's going to fall on them just as well. We're not going to be the only ones. We'll be the target, but we won't be the only ones that are going to be slaughtered. They have a tendency to be very brutal to one another. Plus, Yah is going to judge them to increase their brutality one to another, brother against brother, sister against sister. They're not getting away. But if you're following their ways, neither will you. Neither will any of us. One flip of the switch, that grid goes down, shit will hit the fan. And it will stench. It will stink. It will be bad. And they're forecasting it. They tell us all the time. They're constantly talking about it. Are you listening? Most aren't. What about you? Are you listening? Because if you're truly listening, then the next question is, what are you doing about it? We're here to help. I'm here to help. Help what, brother? Do something about it. Of course. But you can't help those who won't help themselves. Who make up excuses, justifications. Oh, brother, you just don't understand my situation. Is it for me to understand your situation, or is it for you to understand your situation? Is it for me to resolve it for you, or is it for you to resolve it for yourself? So what does my understanding about your situation have to do with anything? How about just being obedient? And letting your obedience transform your situation. If you're the head, not the tail, then why are you thinking like an ass? By not trusting Abba Yah's word. You're either his or you're not. You either believe or you don't believe. He said if you keep his commandments, he will make you the head, not the tail. Then I'm not sure what it is you're expecting us to understand, other than could it be you that's doing something that you shouldn't be doing? Because you have found it in your own heart and mind to justify it. Or even worse, blaming somebody else for your condition, your circumstances. The end is going to happen whether you're ready or not. Just like death. Most people don't get a chance to determine how they're going to die. They just die when that time comes. Ecclesiastes chapter 7 says that, you know what? You celebrate the death of a man because his life validates what kind of man or woman he was, not the birth. Although the heathens have taught us to celebrate the birth of a man who hasn't proven anything. How ironic. The clock is ticking, brothers and sisters. We're not running out of time. We're out of time. Y'all hear the ticking? "11 seconds. Come on, Stuart, you know it. 1. Another Israelite just left this earth, gone into eternity. And one of these days it's going to be you. I just hope, for your own sake, that you know where you're going. You're sure of where you're going. And I'm giving you solutions. These other channels out here, they're talking about the problem. This channel is about solution, identifying what the problem is, but also solution. What is the solution? Turn back to Yahuwah, sovereign, the only Elohim. Can I give you one more verse? Hallelujah. Go to Exodus chapter 22. I just told you that Abba Yah says if you're doing any kind of other service, including your wealth, your money, your finance, all of that, he says that's become a God to you because that's what you value. You think that is your success. You think that's an indicator of your success. It is not. Your possessions are not an indication of your position before Yahuwah. Your obedience is an indication of your treasure because that's what's going to last through the fire, through the damnation to come. In the Torah, Exodus 22 and 20, he that sacrifices or bow down, pray, or serve any Elohim, any means any, except Yahuwah only means exclusive. One, not two, not five, not 1,000, not 10,000, not millions, not yourself, shall be utterly destroyed. And that's this warning. If you don't want to be utterly destroyed, come out of the fog, repent, ask Abba Yah not to let you be a reprobate, let you understand the signs as warnings because that's what they are, and then pull you together with like-minded believers, men whose hearts are sincere towards serving the true Elohim Yahuwah, the sovereign one, the only one, and trust that they have been positioned to guide, to lead, to protect as we await our final salvation, called the new heaven and the new earth. Don't forget to be with us Wednesday night if you're available, Eastern Time, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, for our next study. I'm sure we'll be in one of these Tanakh, Torah, or Cipher books. You're invited, 7 o'clock Central Eastern Time, I'm sorry. Go to the About page if you're interested. If you want to be with a like-minded group, subscribe to the channel so you'll know where we are, how to find us, how to find this. And again, stay alert. What does the book says? Satan go to and fro throughout his order, looking to see who he what can deceive, brothers and sisters. He's more clever than you. Except you have Abba Yah's power in you, which will attract you to other like-minded believers. Like-minded believers in the Torah. Except you have that in you, you're going to be a reprobate. You're going to end up, in desolation, destruction, destroyed, called treacherous. You will be rejected. And when you're living in your final seconds, 11 seconds, there will be no hope for you. I've given you the way out. We've opened our arms to you. I've told you the truth. I'll end by saying thank you for all the brothers and sisters who are here. If you agree with this message, thumb it up. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, because it just helps others get the message. And if all of you who, support the channel, thank you in whatever way it is. It's a good service. It's seed, no question. DFG, talk to you next time. If my 11 seconds don't run out, y'all willing, before that time. Bye now.